Poof. And here we go. Showtime.
That always makes me nervous when you say showtime.
It's my ode to the jazz singer.
Well, this is so great. Look at all our eBell members coming in. Yay, and some new friends.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. I see you all filing in. Carlene, Yvonne, welcome to the program. Just a few reminders to remain on mute during the program. It's sort of a little different than our other programs. If you want to, you can ask a question live when it's time. We really want this to be sort of open, workshop forum. And but if you can remain on mute to help with any background noise, dogs barking, things like that, that's always helpful. Just a reminder, we are, Patty, I'm talking to you, Bailey.
I know, that's the barking dog.
Put Bailey away. We are recording this session. It will be available to members on our website in a few days. And on cue, my dog barks. Any questions, please put it in the chat. Sophia is going to be our moderator today, and we're going to start in a few minutes. I'm just going to let a few more people in. Welcome. And oh, my final thing, if your camera is off and you are having trouble and you want it to be on, unmute now and I will help you. Pause for effect.
And if you want to put your camera on, we'd love it because we love seeing your smiling faces. But we understand if you have stuff to do and you're listening and cooking dinner and writing a novel. We get it.
I have a wet puppy in my lap.
There's a story we need to hear. Yeah. A wet puppy.
He just had a bath.
Oh, listening in and ironing. I love that, Denise. Okay. Yes, housework. A worthy pursuit. Absolutely.
Sorry, I had to control my dog. The mailman showed up. So
isn't it amazing how late the mailman comes? Yeah.
I don't know. Again, okay, so we have a few more people and then we're going to get started. Hello, welcome. If you can remain on mute during the program, it will be very helpful for background noise. Hello, Kathy. Good to see you again. We are recording this program. It will be available on our website in a few days. Any questions, please put it into the chat. We will have time for live questions, but if you feel more comfortable putting them into the chat, Sophia is going to be the moderator and we'll make sure everything gets asked. What else? Camera, if you want it on and you're stuck, let me know. I can help you. I think we can get, what time is it? I think we can get started. So
it's only 5:03, but Zoom is one of those very prompt things.
I know. And so are our members. So Patty, I'm gonna.
Great. All right. Thanks, Meredith. So hello and welcome. I'm Patty Lombard. Some of you may know. It's my honor to serve as the 64th president of the eBell and my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual program, which promises to be really interesting today. For those of you who are new to the eBell, we are a women's club. We were founded 126 years ago, different time and place, by a handful of women to educate women. Today, our mission has evolved to host social and cultural events that inspire and empower women. We award scholarships to students and provide grants to charities that help at-risk women and children in the Los Angeles community. Just over a year ago, the pandemic mandated the closure of our historic Wilshire Boulevard clubhouse. Shortly thereafter, we pivoted all of our programming and events online. Alas, I am only virtually in our lovely library, as you can see in my background, but we're really excited. We are close to announcing that we can reopen the clubhouse in the fall. We are delighted you are here and welcome you to learn more about the eBell. New members are always welcome, and in fact, we might hopefully have a few here today. Our dues are very reasonable. You get access to all these wonderful programs as well as being part of the eBell community, and you get to help support our mission. Meredith will send out a follow-up email about how to get involved and more information about the eBell in our talk tonight. So you can look forward to that. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our Board Director of Programs, Phyllis Hansen, who along with her committee develops our fabulous roster of really interesting and diverse programs. Phyllis is going to get us started and then she'll be back to close and give you a short preview of some upcoming events. Phyllis?
Welcome everyone, and especially a warm welcome to our panelists today. We have a group of young women from all over the United States, many of them here on the West Coast, but talk about being diverse. We are from diverse places and all here together in one place to, and they're here to answer your questions. That is the primary focus of this program today, is to educate us, as Patty said before we started this, so we won't feel stupid when we go out into society, and we'll know all the right pronouns and whatever. So no question is too silly or too ignorant or too stupid. If you want to ask it anonymously, you can email, you can use the chat function to send it to Meredith, who will then ask it for you. But we welcome anybody to put their questions in the chat or put them or ask them live. We have 3 speakers who are going to each speak on a different issue or subject, and they will each in turn answer their own questions. So you're welcome to interrupt anytime or wait until the end, whatever you want to do. So this is a very informal program, and I'm going to turn this over to Meredith to introduce our panelists and the wonderful founder of Brave Trails, the camp that who knew there was such a camp. This is all very exciting and new to learn about. Meredith?
Thanks, Phyllis. Hi, everyone. I'm doing double duty, so I'm making sure that everyone's coming in, and I'm going to do the introduction. So hello. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Meredith Dayton, and I am the Staff Membership and Programming Director at the eBell of Los Angeles. I'm excited to introduce you today to a wonderful group of people and an organization building the next generation of LGBTQ+ leaders and change makers. I was connected to Brave Trails through a mutual friend. And as many of you know, in this Zoom room, my love for my own summer camp runs deep. Camp was a safe place, one that taught me that family can be extended to those who don't share my DNA, but a shared experience. It taught me patience, independence, and leadership. But most importantly, it gave me a community that I am still connected to decades later. Founded in 2014, Brave Trails is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to LGBTQ+ youth leadership. The only of its kind, it offers accredited summer camps, family camps, mentorship programs, meetup groups, and year-round leadership programming for LGBTQ+ youth. Brave Trails is dedicated to help youth find their people, place, and passion. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Jessica Weisbach, co-executive director and co-founder of Brave Trails. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist and focused her academic life on studying LGBTQ. Karen, I'm going to mute you. LGBTQ+ youth affirmative therapy practices. Her passion for LGBTQ+ youth leadership led her to found Colors LGBTQ Youth Counseling Center and became the program manager at the LA LGBT Center, where she discovered how vital mentorship and community are to young persons' well-being. Jess will introduce you to the rest of the panelists, and tonight we are going to start at the very beginning, which is a very good place to start. We're going to define letters, we're going to explain pronouns, we're going to provide a platform to ask questions, even the hard ones. And we're also going to learn how to be an ally. So thank you all for being here. Jess, take it away.
Well, thank you for that intro. What a wonderful introduction there. Thank you, Meredith. And thank you all for having us and being willing and wanting to learn more about the LGBTQ community. It's quite amazing. And I'm sorry, my son just got home from daycare and he ran in here to say hi a few minutes ago. But we, like Meredith was saying, we are an LGBTQ leadership summer camp. And how I like to describe that really is a little bit of a traditional summer camp where we have hiking and archery and swimming and theater and dance and all those fun things, of course, with a queer twist. And then we are also a leadership institute. So we bring folks up from the community to come up to camp to really teach our campers all different walks of what leadership is. So the way we really leadership is a holistic experience where if you aren't grounded in your own mental health and your own identity and who you are, it's really hard to step up and be that leader. So we have workshops around that, but then we also have the traditional leadership stuff like public speaking and debate and organizing and all that good stuff. So it's a lot of fun. The best way I think to really learn about what we do is to watch a video. So I am going to actually pass it off to Sophia next, but we have this video for you all to kind of get a taste of what we do. So enjoy that, and then Sophia will come and introduce the rest of the panel. Thank you again for having us.
The way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself.
There are so many spaces for LGBTQ youth in LA to get therapy about it, but there were really no spaces for LGBTQ youth to become leaders and change makers.
Brave Trails is an LGBTQ leadership summer camp. I like to describe it as part traditional summer camp with archery and swimming and arts and crafts with a queer twist, and also the Leadership Institute.
How do I make change? How do I make the world a better place for the future? And so Brave Trails was really built with that in mind. My name is Kayla Weisbach.
I am Jessica.
We started Brave Trails together.
Some of our campers have never met another LGBTQ person. And so to come to a place where they see folks that are really successful in what they do, we've been told by some of our campers that it gives them hope.
Prior to Brave Trails, I had little to no self-esteem, no confidence, and all around a lot of negativity in my life, but Brave Trails has given me such a boost in self-confidence and a boost in happiness.
We bring people in from the community to do the hard skills like public speaking, to help them create LGBTQ groups at their schools. And then we also help our campers deal with some of their anxiety or mindfulness, and so we really take the holistic approach of leadership.
Just being here with all our friends and being who we are and not being judged by our parents or our coworkers or where we go to school or being bullied is probably one of the best things for LGBTQ plus youth.
Our cabins are all split by age. We don't ask on the application what gender they are. We want to provide that really safe space so that everybody feels welcomed.
By taking away the pressure to have to prove who you are, our campers are just really able to focus on growing as leaders and growing personally as humans.
Being a part of a camp that's building these leadership qualities and answering these questions that a lot of people didn't have the answers to when I was that age. It was just amazing being able to give them like these tools to take home.
We also have a closed Facebook group, so the campers that have to go back to their community where they're not 100% supported or they're having a hard time, they can reach out and get some amazing, amazing emotional support.
LGBTQ youth have so much natural resiliency and so many natural leadership strengths, and how can we hone in on each of those for our queer youth and help them become incredible adults, whether that's turning out the next queer president or the next incredible teacher or local hero.
Apologies for stopping early. We made this video a few years ago, so some of the information on there is outdated because we have like 2 sessions, but now we have 4 sessions, which is really exciting. But that is a brief look into Brave Trails Summer Camp and what it looks like. Also, hello, my name is Sophia. My pronouns are she, her. I am the program manager at Brave Trails. I started volunteering at Brave Trails in 2019, and then last year came on year round and helped put together all sorts of workshops, fun programs. We've been doing, similar to y'all, a whole lot of online programming this past year. Did 6 weeks of totally virtual summer camp last year. So it's been a weird, cool adjustment, and super excited to be here and be with all of you. I'm also really, really excited to tell you a little bit about our panelists. So I will let them introduce themselves, but I just want to say that our panelists are amazing campers, counselors in training, and staff members who came on, volunteered their time to do this, and they're so passionate about being here to help educate. So I know it's been said before, but any questions that you have, if you think it's offensive, if you think it's a silly question, ask it if you want to know, because that's how we learn. So feel free to put it in the chat. If you want to ask it anonymously, you can message Meredith or myself, and I will read them all out. So thank you all so much. And Andy, I will hand it over to you.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Andy. My pronouns are they, them. And I'm coming up on my 3rd year with Brave Trails. And I'm 15. I'm a freshman in high school. And I'm very passionate about LGBTQ plus activism, leadership. And Brave Trails has just been my place to grow. And especially here, I'm so excited to be answering all of your questions. And I will also be doing pronouns and coming out of the closet. The experience with that and how to avoid outing. So, yeah.
Thank you, Andy. Lou, go for it.
Hi, my name is Lou. My pronouns are she, her, and this year I will be entering into the UJL program, which is like our counselor in training program. I've been with Brave Trails since actually the very first summer when I was 12 years old. And it really, I've met so many close friends there that I still carry those friendships with me today. And I feel like Brave Trails really is like my safe place. And I love camp, and I'm really passionate about, supporting its growth and just bringing that kind of community to other LGBT people.
Thank you, Lou. And last but not least, Isabel.
Hey y'all, I'm Isabel. I use she, they pronouns. I started off as a camper when I was a bit older, and quite quickly made my transition to be this year's Racial Justice Leadership Coordinator. I'm going to bring as much inclusivity, to the table, and train these kids and help them in their leadership skills to become the best anti-racist people that they possibly can be within our space.
Awesome. So I hope y'all are as excited to get to know these wonderful people. And we will jump right in. I will let them take it away with Isabel.
Hi, y'all. So I'm going to be chatting about the acronyms within LGBTQ. Starting off with L. L stands for lesbian. The term lesbian falls under a woman-loving woman community that is a sexuality for women who love women. G stands for gay. This often falls under a man-loving man relationship, but it's one of our most universal umbrella terms within the community. So for example, I identify as queer, but I can also say that I identify as gay. B stands for bisexual. This term is a sexuality that is used by individuals who love two or more genders. T stands for transgender. A transgender individual is a human that doesn't identify with being cisgendered. And being cisgendered means that you identify with what you were assigned with at birth. Q either stands for questioning, which is a person that is questioning their sexuality and or their gender, or it stands for queer, which is a term that has been reclaimed by the community as an umbrella term used by individuals who do not identify with straight or cisgendered labels. And then we have our cute little plus. And the plus holds multiple different terms, such as A for asexual, who is used by a lot of individuals who lack a sexual attraction to other individuals. So we have a bunch of other terms that fall under that, but that's LGBTQ plus.
All right, so I will be covering pronouns. And I saw that there was a question in the chat about pronouns, and it was actually an awesome question. So I will go through all the basic pronouns and then I will address it. So pronouns are obviously any small set of names used to refer to someone, like he goes to the store, she goes to the store, they go to the store. And fun fact, the pronoun they was added in the Merriam-Webster dictionary in 2019, I believe, as an official pronoun. And some people may be wondering, like, why do people use they? Why can't they use their original gender signed at birth pronoun? And some people use they like me because they don't they feel comfortable being, you know, not with their gender. If they're questioning their gender, I'm going to use they because I don't feel like I'm feeling fluid, or I'm feeling not obviously with my gender. So it's just something used when you're not conforming to your gender to use they. And it feels, when someone validates your pronouns, you know, they go to the store, it feels like a pressure is being released off of your chest because you're feeling validated by someone who's trying their best to validate your pronouns. So if someone were to ask you, you know, hey, can you please use they, them pronouns for me? Obviously try your best to use their pronouns. And if you do make a mistake, that's completely okay, because you're trying your best to validate someone's pronouns, and that's all you want. So if you make a mistake, just, you know, she goes to the store. Oh, sorry, they go to the store. And then move on, and it's completely okay. There's no need to make a big deal about it. And I saw the question. So they, them, theirs is one pronoun. So that could be referring to one person. So, you know, Andy is going to the store, they, blah, blah, blah. So it's not necessarily going to be combining all of the he, she into they. It is just one singular pronoun that someone may use if they don't conform to he or she. Can you say one goes to the store? Yes, if you want to, you can say one. They, one, he, she, anything works that person is asking for you to use. And it's as simple as that. And pronouns can be a little confusing, and that's completely okay. So if you have any more questions, you can drop them in the chat. And sorry, I'm looking at the chat right now. But yeah, I hope I explained it as best that I could. What does it mean if someone is identified as both she and they, like Isabel? Oh, that's a great question. So if you use she, they pronouns, for example, Isabel, you don't, sorry, I'm reading the chat at the same time. So Isabel uses she, they pronouns. So they prefer she, they, obviously, and you can choose which one, you know, they don't want to use he pronouns. So you're going to do, she goes to the store and they are getting apples, something like that. So you can use either pronoun, because that's what she prefers or they prefer. So either can be used in that situation. And I hope I explained it the best. I don't public speak too much. I'm trying my best, so please forgive me. So yeah, let's pass it on to Lou.
I'm also going to be talking about pronouns and how to refer to trans people later on, but yeah, they can be used at both a singular and plural context, and actually has their recorded instances of they being used as a singular pronoun as far back as the 17th century. So English is like really confusing and language changes, but they is becoming more accepted as both plural and singular, and it is grammatically correct. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking about the difference between sex, gender, and sexuality. I feel like that can also help a little bit with confusion about what being trans is. So sex is a classification of a person as male, female, or intersex. It's typically assigned at birth just based on a cursory examination by a medical or birthing professional. It's determined by physical characteristics. Now, gender is a social construct which encompasses the feelings, attitudes, and behavior which typically represent cultural concepts of masculinity and femininity. In many cultures, a third option is also recognized. Gender can be a key part of someone's identity, which is termed gender identity, and can be expressed outwardly through one's physical appearance, behavior, mannerisms, or interests, and that's gender expression. All of these concepts, gender, gender identity, and gender expression, may correspond or they may diverge greatly within a person. So maybe someone identifies as a woman, but their outward gender expression is more masculine. Now, sexuality is broad feelings, thoughts, experiences, and expressions surrounding sex, attraction, sensuality, and preferred activities of pleasure and bonding and physical, emotional, psychological, romantic, and or spiritual connection. To really recap in the shortest sort of one sentence blurb, sex describes physical characteristics, gender describes identity and expression, and sexuality describes who one is attracted to sexually and or romantically. And I'm going to open up the chat now to look through some questions. So how does binary fit in? When someone uses the term gender binary, they're describing the sort of expression of gender as being male or female, two binaries on either end of something. And then when someone is non-binary, that means someone is not conforming to the binary of male or female. So they feel like their gender identity is outside of that, doesn't encompass one or the other. Okay, I'm gonna pass it back on to, or is it me? Wait, sorry, what's the order? Being fluid can be the same. Some people who are gender fluid may feel like some days they don't fit into the binary, or some days maybe they feel like they do. And fluid is something where that sort of identity around gender and feelings around gender can change a lot. Okay, that's also me next. Cool. So I'm going to talk about being trans, and I understand this topic has a lot of confusion. I've written a long thing that I hope answers your questions, but I'm also going to be answering questions at the end. So transgender, which is shortened to trans, is an umbrella term for people who, for any number of reasons, have a gender identity or expression not commonly associated with their assigned sex at birth. A person who lives as a member of a gender other than that expected based on anatomical sex or assigned sex. Sexual orientation varies and is not dependent on gender identity. A transgender woman is a woman who lives as a woman, identifies as a woman, and was assigned male at birth. A transgender man is a man who lives as a man, identifies as a man, and was assigned female at birth. Being trans is not limited to being a man or a woman. Some trans people identify outside of these terms as either a third gender, such as genderqueer or gender fluid, or as agender, meaning completely lacking a gender at all. All of these terms fall under the umbrella of non-binary, meaning outside of the gender binary of man and woman. Gender is a social construct, meaning that it is something created entirely in the confines of human society. Therefore, as opposed to sex, gender has no basis in biology. To be cisgender is to identify as the gender you were assigned at birth. Someone who is cisgender is someone whose gender identity fits conventional expectations based on that person's assigned sex at birth. Cisgender is basically opposite of transgender. Some trans people choose to express their gender through what's called transitioning, which is the process of taking steps to live as one's true gender identity. Transitioning is different for each individual and may or may not involve medical interventions like taking hormones or having surgery. Non-medical ways of transitioning include changing one's name and or pronouns. And now I'm going to be talking a bit about how to refer to trans people, which typically comes in with pronouns. So trans people themselves understand their identities best. When referring to a trans person, consult them about how they want to be referred to. They may prefer certain pronouns, a specific name, a certain identity or marker, or other specific terminology to be used when referring to them. If you don't know a person's gender and it's not the right setting to ask, it's best to default to neutral pronouns or no pronouns at all, just their name. When referring to trans people, pronouns are very important. Pronouns are words used in place of nouns to describe a person. They typically refer to a person's gender. The two most common sets of pronouns are she, her, hers, and he, him, his, though these are, of course, not the only pronouns in existence. Some trans and non-binary people choose to use gender-neutral pronouns, such as the singular they, them, theirs, either alone or with another set of pronouns. Pronouns are very personal and an important tool for trans people to express their gender identity. Being respectful of trans people's pronouns and doing your best to get into the habit of using them can help to validate trans identity and make trans people feel more comfortable. It's okay and understandable to mess up on pronouns as long as you are trying your best. Getting into the habit of asking for people's pronouns and giving your own when making introductions can be really helpful in doing this. Like, hello, my name is Lou, my pronouns are she, her. I encourage you all now, if you can, it's okay if you can't, to edit your name to include the pronouns that you feel most comfortable with. I'm going to now look over the chat and answer some questions.
Really quick, to edit your name on Zoom, if you don't know how, go to participants. There should be a little participants button at the bottom of your screen. Find your name and click the three little dots that says more, and then you can click rename and add your pronouns.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sophia. Okay, so Phyllis says, please tell us about use of the word queer. I've always felt it was a pejorative word expressing something outside of the norm or weird, yet it is now widely embraced by the community. Yeah, so a lot of people in the LGBT community do what's called reclaiming, where we take back and kind of shift around the meaning of a word that was used against us. And there are other examples of this outside of queer, but queer is one of the more commonly used ones. And not all LGBT people like to reclaim that word, especially older LGBT people, because for some people it carries that weight, like you mentioned. But it's becoming a more and more of a common thing to use as an identity marker or to describe the community as a whole. Okay. Where did the word cis come from when using cisgender? It's spelled C-I-S gender. I actually don't know that. That's a really good question. I will get back to you.
I put it in the chat.
Oh, you did? Oh, awesome. That's great. Okay. I'm trying to look through. If you have surgery to change into another gender, why would you want to be a they? That's just the expression that some non-binary people feel most comfortable with. If they feel like parts of their outside body don't match the way they see themselves physically as a non-binary person, they may change that. And that's really what's really beautiful about non-binary expression, is there are all kinds of ways to that non-binary people express their gender identity.
Can I say something really quick? Sorry. So if, for example, if someone were assigned female at birth wanting to transition into a man, that doesn't totally mean that they're going to be, I'm going to transition 100% male. I'm going to be 100% everything masculine, male, male, male. That means that they can still dress feminine if they wanted to, use they pronouns because they don't 100% confine to the male gender. Even though they did surgically transition, that's because they feel more comfortable in a male body, but they don't 100% feel male, if that makes sense. It's kind of confusing, but that doesn't mean that they 100% confined to the male gender. That's why some people use he, they, she, they after transitioning. So.
Okay, I'm gonna answer. So instead of adding more letters, can a word or two be agreed upon? So the LGBT community is just really big and really diverse, and it has been since its founding and since its creation and since the first LGBT movements occurred. And it's always been more and more accepting and increasing in sides every single year. So while it would be more useful to have a word or two, and that's why some people do like using the word queer, because it's quick, it encompasses everything. Some people want more specific inclusion or are just uncomfortable with it. So the most widely accepted version of the acronym that I've seen is LGBTQ+. I've also just seen LGBT or LGBTQ, and it's just about creating like inclusion and showing the diversity of the community. Do you believe it's necessary to add pronouns to your name if you identify as the sex you appear as? I believe so. I was assigned female at birth, and I use she, her pronouns, and I will put it in my display name, or I'll ask it, or I'll introduce myself with my pronouns, just because it's to help trans people and non-binary people just feel more comfortable and not feel like if you're going around in a group making introductions and they're the only one who says their pronouns, and they might feel like, you know, they stand out as a trans person. It's just to create more acceptance for using they, them pronouns and just around asking for people's pronouns. I was encouraged to add an I to the LGBT acronym. So, okay, what is the most common? So I can't speak to why Brave Trails doesn't use the I, but the I stands for intersex, which is a new term that the intersex community has created to replace the former term, which is hermaphrodite. And intersex means that you express multiple sex, like multiple outward sex characteristics, and that's how you were born. Some intersex people like being grouped with the LGBT community. Some don't, because they don't feel like their identity is inherently a part of the community. So it just varies from intersex person to intersex person based on personal feelings. Who or what organization came up with pronouns? So pronouns weren't really invented necessarily by an organization. Sorry, I don't understand the question. Gay means happy when I was growing up. Yeah, it means both happy, and it can also mean like gay as in a sexuality. Oh, we do use I. Okay, cool. Yeah, Brave Trails does. Okay, I'm gonna hand it off to Isabel.
Before we move on, I've gotten a few different questions, or at least I've seen them within my my chat box on why I use she pronouns, and I also use they pronouns. And I just wanted to touch on it like a little bit because it can definitely be super confusing. So I was born with she, her pronouns. I was born as a female at birth. I was assigned that that gender. And as I've grown and as I've experimented with my gender and my sexuality, I found what best works for me is using both she, her, and they, them pronouns. I have a lot about me that doesn't necessarily fit 100% on the scale of she, her. There's a lot of different parts of my identity that make up who I am. And some of them fall a little bit more in the they area. They is something that makes me feel super confident and super comfortable, just as much as she, her, or he, him can make other people feel. Both of those identities, I think, relate really strong to who I am. I can't speak for everyone that uses they, them pronouns, but often I can feel a bit that my gender can fluctuate, either in what I wear, how I express myself, how I cut my hair, how I do my makeup, what jewelry I put on. It's something that makes me feel comfortable because I'm able to use both, because I feel like I fall a little bit under both. It makes up me as a person, and all I ask is for people to like respect who I am. I think I'm incredible and amazing, and my they pronoun is super, super great. Anyone that uses they, them pronouns often have a lot of complex identities to themselves, and it varies from person to person. They, them is super duper loose. And I think it leaves a lot of fun room for like discovery and exploration. Definitely something to deep dive a little bit more into whenever you want to take that chance to do so. But just touching on my own gender and what I identify with. I do use both. It is very common, and it is something that I think is really, really neat. I'm able to explore both my she, her pronouns and my they, them pronouns. So if you have any other questions in specific revolving around what I use and how I use it and how I express those pronouns, you can totally ask them to me. I'm an open book and I will share anything that you feel you're a bit confused on. But yes, they, them pronouns can be very, very tricky. My best advice is that to treat everyone with kindness and respect, and that they, them pronouns are different for everyone, just as much so as she, her, and he, him are different for everyone. Like, for example, some people that use she, her pronouns like their hair super duper short, and that's super cool. But some people like their hair really, really long. They both express their genders in different ways, but they both use that same she, her pronoun. Super duper confusing, yes. But as long as you're able to treat people with kindness and love and like lead with your heart and compassion, you will find out a lot about people that is super amazing and incredible. My they, them pronouns, I hold really tight to my heart. I think they're really, really cool. And they make up a lot of who I am. So they, them definitely varies from person to person. It is super confusing, especially since we were kind of drilled in that like it's not grammatically correct. As of lately, it has been added to the dictionary, which is super, super cool as a singular pronoun. But my best advice for you is to just kind of listen and to hear out people that have they, them pronouns and what that means to them. It is the best thing you can do because at the end of the day, we are a super duper diverse community. And the one thing you can do is listen and just kind of like be there for us. And it's super, like, we're incredible, amazing human beings. And we all vary on how we express our gender and our sexuality. So it varies from person to person. That's like the best, I think, advice that I can give. But if you have any other questions, I can definitely narrow it down a bit more.
Can I ask something? It's too long to type in.
How do you type in? Sorry.
Oh, I said I don't. I said it's too long to type in. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So my granddaughter, who is almost 15, is gay, and she most wonderful person on earth. And she has shaved part of her hair, she wears chains, she wears black, trying to express herself. And we all, her parents encourage her, we encourage her. She's just wonderful. But the community she lives in is not as accepting as, and at school also. I'm asking for advice as to how to help her to deal, or what do you say when someone comes at you and treats you with disrespect and makes fun of you? And I mean, what's the best way to deal with all of this?
Personally, first, I want to give you praise. You are being such an incredible role model and such an incredible leader to your granddaughter. I can already tell that she holds a lot of respect and love for you. Just based off of somebody that has had to come out to multiple individuals in my family, you're doing all that you can, even if that's just by being here, by educating yourself. I give you major props.
Yeah, we try to give her confidence and tell her she's marvelous no matter what she does. But when you're 15, people out there really matter. And so it's difficult because you have that coming at you. So, I mean, I'm a therapist myself, but I want to know how, this is all a whole new world. So I'm trying to understand more, and I want to help her to deal with people who are negative,
Absolutely. I think that's a very, very common thread within anyone within our community is negativity and how we deal with it, and how we're faced with that challenge, especially if you are in a community that is not so accepting of other people and how they dress or how they express themselves. My best advice is that just to be there for her, to listen to her, and she is going to develop into such an amazing, incredible human being. To give her that room to blossom, give her that outlet if she needs like someone to listen to her. She'll meet people just like her, and those people will be the best people that she'll ever connect with. I believe that you can choose your family, And those people are definitely going to follow right into her footsteps. Just keep telling her to like lead with her heart and to do whatever feels right. Like sometimes you might get judged. Like I get judged for wearing these silly little like grandma things on my glasses. I love them. I think they're super cute. And people will judge me. That is totally normal. And it's really unfortunate that people judge. But the best thing to do is to be a support system.
Yeah.
Be there for her and listen to her and provide that same love that you are currently providing, because it means the world that she has somebody. And that
Andy,
is definitely what we need, is just like somebody to listen.
Andy, as you're 15, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember.
Yeah. Andy, how have you experienced any of that?
Yeah, I experienced it quite a bit, to be honest. A lot of it's because I play volleyball and I'm obviously on the women's team. So it's kind of hard because I have like short hair, so people might see me as a guy or people might see me as a girl. And it's just hard because some people will come straight up to you and say, "Are you a guy or a girl?" And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I feel like I'm put in a corner. So I do experience that a lot. And one way I get through it is that, Brave Trails has been a place for me to lean on when I need it. So I just think about, it's going to get better. And you have to go, I don't know why my voice is being so weird. You have to go through this to get better, and you get stronger and you get mentally stronger. People are going to come at you, but you have to stay strong and you have to realize, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm confident, all of these positive things. And there was a couple breaking points for me when I realized, like, is it true what these people are saying about me and all of these mean things that are just so cruel in the world? And I just realized they're not worth my time. It's just genuinely sad that they're insulting me because I am me, and that's all. I'm proud of myself for how far I've gotten. Just being confident and finding someone to lean on and talk to. Having people around you, having resources to go to, that's really helped me get through it. Even though I'm really young, finding resources, finding outlets, like Brave Trails, my friends, people I've met through Brave Trails, it's really helped a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If there's any other questions, we can definitely answer them now. But if not, we'll go ahead and transition into everything. Hold on, I just got a question that I saw my name.
Well, I'll chime in too. Someone was asking about the actual camp. So this summer, we don't have a permanent housing situation, so we rent camps. And this summer we are located in Big Bear, which is super exciting. It's our first summer in Big Bear. We're super excited about it. And we also, just to let you know, typically we run 6 weeks. We run 5 weeks in Southern California and 1 week in Maryland on the East Coast. It is a little different because COVID has changed everybody's plans for everything. So this summer we're running about 3 weeks here in California and 1 week in Maryland. So it is going to be a little bit of a scaled back version again because of COVID, but we are excited to actually meet in person. I think, just to echo what Andy and Isabel were saying, that it's really all about building community. That's how people gain the support they need to get through it, because it's really, really hard. So excited to be able to be in person this summer, and to help provide that space for the kiddos. I think there's a question for you, Isabel. Yep.
Yeah, I can totally answer it. So I get this question a lot about like my pronouns and my sexuality. I currently use she, they pronouns, and that's what I use for my gender. My gender is what I personally identify with and how I express myself to the world. And then I identify as a queer person. So that's my sexuality. That's who I attract, and that's who I want to love within my life, and who I want that partner that I spend the rest of my life to be with. Me being queer, that means, at least just for me, that I am attracted to all people, and I find a lot of attraction within people's hearts and their souls. I don't really care about their gender and how they express. As long as I'm able to make a genuine connection with someone, that's all I really care about. So that's my sexuality. My gender is a little different. This is how I'm expressing like my body, and this is how I express how I want to show myself to the world based off of like my style, how I present myself, how I hold myself, if that makes sense. So for example, I don't shave my legs. This can be a little controversial to some people, but I don't shave my legs and I still use she, her pronouns. I also use they, them pronouns. I think that traditionally masculine side of me is really, really gorgeous. I think body hair is super duper lovely and we grow it. It's a natural thing. Obviously, I'm not saying that all people are like entitled to grow their hair out. Like you can shave if you want. That's totally up to you. I don't. And I think that's super cool. That definitely, I think, falls, at least for me, in my they pronoun a little bit. So they're a bit separate. I identify as queer. That's who I love. I identify as she, her, and they, them. That's who I am. So they're a bit separate. Do they make me a bit more diverse? Sure. But for example, like my partner can identify as she, her, but also identify as a lesbian. That makes her just as diverse as I am within the community. So I'm not trying to play like the game of diversity hats, you know. I'm just identifying who I am and who I want to be. And I do it really confidently as I've learned to express myself to its fullest, because that's going to be what makes me the happiest, if that makes sense. If I was not clear, I'm sorry.
There's a good question in the chat about the debate going on about trans youth in sports. And Annie, I know you're sports. I don't know if you have anything to chime in about that, or if anybody else has anything to kind of say.
The floor is open to y'all.
Yeah.
If you guys want to speak on it.
I'd like to say something because I've spent much of my life learning languages, and I love language. But there's tremendous complexity, of course. We use it to express ourselves. Sometimes when you're learning somebody else's language, there are things that they will say that aren't really yours to say. Being funny, for example, in somebody else's language, you can be funny, but certain expressions are more for them than for you. And it would sound odd if you jumped in and tried to pretend that, oh, for me, for example, I've been learning Italian forever. There are certain things in Italian that are really more for me to listen, you know, than to say. And I was thinking, for example, somebody was talking about the reclaiming idea. And I think that was you, Lou. And talking about queer people or using the word queer to just, in a way, it makes it easier. You're just encompassing everything. That's for you guys to say. I'm not sure that's for me to say. Is that right? I mean, if I talk about queer people, that's like, well, I don't actually, in a way, it's not my language yet.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up.
Many people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, and I think it's a good point, and I think that it's totally okay. Like my mom, so supportive. She'll use the word queer to refer to me, my wife, and to camp and to everything. So I think it like definitely depends on your audience, yeah, and the intent that you use it, right? If you are using it in good intent, the way that it's meant to be used, then I think it's okay. But I very much appreciate what you're saying. And I 100% agree that it really depends on your audience and the way that you're talking.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people you might talk to, like us, are at such a different place with hearing this new language. We're taking things in very slowly. So you may be, you know, laying something out quickly, but we're taking it in slowly, built on whatever we've heard in the past. So for example, the cisgender question, how do you even spell cisgender? The only reason that I have ever heard cisgender is because of kids I know. Okay. And it's something that just seems so odd to me. And again, I don't really know where that term came from. What's the cis and cisgender? You know, there must be something. And as a language person, I'm kind of curious. I'd like to know. But anyway, I just wanted to say, I think it was when I was listening to you, Andy, I was thinking sometimes people just want kind of a simple answer. Even a kid who came up to you, and I cannot judge what it felt like to have that kid come up to you. I can't really guess, but it could have been just someone who's like, well, you know, and they just kind of wanted an answer. They might have been coming looking for trouble, and then it doesn't matter what you say, they're looking for trouble. But other people are just kind of blundering out looking for some sort of answer, and they don't necessarily need too much of an answer all at one time, just like something. And again, it's language. It's language. It's like, well, what are you? And then it's nice if you have something a little bit simple to say. Well, and I don't know what it would be, but you know, I identify as, maybe that's what you would say. And kind of leave it at that. And let them go, oh, and then you might find out possibly that they're not really looking for trouble, they're stumbling around. It's just a possibility. Because
I think
right now you're talking to a lot of really nice people, and we're stumbling around. We don't really know this language.
Yeah, I think obviously it's totally okay to ask, because you know, some people, you know, like you said, like actually want to know, like, you know, they can't see it from my appearance because they don't know, and that's totally okay. It's just sometimes I feel personally, I don't know if it's just me, I feel like I'm put in a corner. But I was assigned female at birth. I'm very open about my identity, so I was assigned female at birth. You can kind of hear it by my voice, my jewelry, all that stuff. But you know, I'm going to go to, you know, I'm a female, and then I'll escape the question. But someone who was non-binary, for example, if they didn't want to disclose their gender, I don't know how it would feel to be put in that corner. But then again, if someone's, you know, genuinely wants to know, there's that point where you're just like, you know, what are you going to do? You could just say, you know, I'm non-binary, I use they, them pronouns. Okay, you know, have a good day type of thing. So it could be as simple as that. But that's the tricky part, where it's, you know, putting someone in a corner in that feeling, or genuinely needing to know because, you know, you want to know. I feel like, you know, there was a one time where I was in class and there were just 10 kids around me, and they all heard them ask me that question. So I felt like 10 kids were all staring at me, waiting for me to answer the question. And I was like, okay, well, you know, one-on-one, I'm completely fine, you know, because it's just me and that individual. But I feel like if I'm put in a big scenario with a bunch of people looking at me, all waiting for the answer, it feels, you know, kind of stressful, I guess. So, yeah. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I just am wanting to tell you that some people are not actually out to get you as much as you might think. They really are confused and wondering, and maybe they just blurt something out sometimes. I'm not saying always. I was on a university campus, and because of my daughter, and I asked a really innocent question to a kid of a mixed ethnic background. And I said, where are you from? And I meant, like, are you from San Francisco? Are you from San Jose? Are you from, you know, Los Angeles? And she kind of rolled her eyes. My daughter was there as interpreter, and she kind of rolled her eyes. I think they immediately went to trouble. They immediately were thinking, oh, here we go, you know, my parents are Chinese and I'm something else. And, you know, where are you from? Was I suggesting she wasn't really an American? You know, it was very complicated in her. In me, it was so simple. I was saying, where are you from? Because I like to travel. I like to know where people are from. So I only want to alert you that some of the nicest people are pretty confused. And they may say things that set you off, you know, but actually wasn't meant that way necessarily.
Yeah, that's, for me personally, that's like a big reason why I'm so open with it, because, you know, there's a lot of people who have come up to me and asked me, and it's like, they really do want to know. Like, they're actually curious and they just want to know. So that's a big part of why I'm so open about it, because it's, you know, I'm educating people about who I am, what I identify as, all that good stuff, and educating them. And I feel like I should always come with the mindset of, you know, they're always coming with good intentions. And, you know, if they come with bad intentions, then,
well, then
there we go. But yeah.
Hey, y'all, I'm so
you're
sorry
muted.
to interrupt. We are actually out of time. How it's already been an hour. But this has been such an incredible conversation. And just kind of wanted to close on, this is just the beginning of the conversation. So we asked a lot of amazing questions. A lot of great stuff came. And if you're still curious, that is great, because this is kind of the stepping point on how can we learn more, how can we educate ourselves more. So we are going to send out a resource sheet. I'm going to send it to Meredith, who's going to send it to all of you, and that has some great educational resources, great pamphlets on how to be an ally, places to donate to and to educate yourself more. And we just kind of want to end on the thought process. So as you're leaving, just think to yourself, how can I be a better ally or a good ally to LGBT people? So just think about that as you move forward. And I want to thank Andy and Isabel and Lou so much for putting in. Thank you. This was fantastic. And I hope you all learned a lot. So thank you all so much for coming. And thank you, panelists, for being amazing.
And thank you from everyone at the eBell. This has just been a joy having all of you with us and educating us, and especially telling us how we can help you and be allies. I think that is the most important takeaway that we can all bring to you.
Yeah.
So
And what Sophia was saying about resources, so we'll get that stuff out to you, but if you have any young people in your life that you think Brave Trails would be a good fit, we do have year-round programming and a bunch of other stuff. So you can feel, Meredith has my email, so if you want to reach out to me and email me, we would love to be a resource for not only the young people in your world, but also to you. So if you have any other questions, then please do not be shy. There's no stupid question, and we really like to just educate and support people learning.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And we'd love to see this grow. Right now, they have just moved to a camp in Maryland, and it'd be great if they could be all over the country soon. It's such a unique idea, and hope it expands. And I also want to invite all of you to our next program. All of our Zoom programs are open to the public. And so if you want to join us, we're having a program on Friday where we're going to Tuscany. We're going live to Tuscany for our Foodie Friday, where we're going to meet with a husband and wife who are going to be cooking homemade pasta from scratch. And they are going to show us around their villa. So this isn't just for cooks. I would say it's for anyone who likes to eat. And the program will be half like, they'll give us a tour of their ancient farmhouse up in the hills of Tuscany, above Lucca and Bagne de Lucca, up in the mountains with a stupendous view. It will be 8 p.m. there, so we'll get to see sunset, and we'll be on at 11 in the morning here. So we hope you can join us for our little travel excursion and eat some Italian food virtually. And then next week we'll have confab on Wednesday. So I hope you can all join us for conversation or confab. It's a casual time when our members get together and just talk about what's interesting at the moment. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks.
I got kicked out at the last.
I know, I got you back in. But thank you. Thank you all for coming to us.
Yeah,
teaching us.
I feel we could do so much more. It'll be so
I
much
know.
fun.
We
So much
go on
fun.
for
I'm
hours.
excited. Yep.
All right. Send me the sheet and I'll get it to everybody. Thanks so much,
All right.
everybody.
I'll send it to you later tonight once it looks prettier.
Pretty ugly. I'll take them all. Bye, everybody.